This is what I use when I'm drawing a schematic to show other people, or when I'm checking a circuit, usually to test an idea. You can find this JavaScript applet, which can run in a browser, by following this link, where you'll find this page with some description of it and also source code for the Java version. You might find the full screen version by clicking this link. This is where I will demonstrate the circuit simulator. When you first open it, it will be in this tank circuit, usually with some oscillation going on here. Let me press the reset to show you that. And as you can see, it will plot the voltage in green and current amperes in yellow for the various components as stated on the plot. You can also know to which plot corresponds a component by putting the mouse over it, and the corresponding component will be highlighted. You can also put your mouse over a component and the plot will be highlighted. You can press the switch to close the circuit and start spinning up the coil, and then when you release the switch, it will start oscillating. So you can control the circuits in that way by clicking on things. As you can see, current is represented by yellow dots on the wires, and you can make these dots go faster or slower depending on how noticeable you want them to be, how noticeable the movement you want it to be. Most components will have their values right next to the symbols. As you can see, for some reason the power supplies don't do that. I think it's stupid, but whatever. In any case, you can see and change the values by double clicking on the component. As you can see, this power supply is 5 volts. You can change to something else. For example, this is the properties of a capacitor. This is of the inductor. You can also right click on components to do other things with them, like adding a scope, like adding a new scope with that reference to that component. Now you have a plot for the power supply, as you can see. You can combine the plots, which means the same plot will have both components, and you can also stack them. And so there are two ways where you can compare two plots against each other. One of the things you can do with right-clicking a component is change the value to with sliders, like you can see right here. By default, the tank circuit already has some stuff you can change. So, for example, the inductor, as you can see, it can change I can change the inductance by tweaking the slider. You can also make a blank circuit to add your own components by clicking here and going to blank circuit. Now, to add components, you can right click on any empty space, and here's a list of all the components available. For example, a transistor will be inside here. If you want to change the direction of the collector and emitter, you can double click it and there's an option for it. Op-amps will be for op-amps you can pick one version with a non-inverting input on top, or the inverting input on top. I think that's kind of silly, but whatever. So here it is. You have the two types of op-amps. They are the same, just with the inputs changed. Any of the components can be dragged around, and you can drag the terminals to make them rotate and such. The only exceptions to these are integrated circuits, large logical circuits. For example, let's put a shift register, which can't be rotated, so we can never make these outputs align vertically, but you can flip them horizontally or flip them vertically. You can also add components by using shortcuts. For example, the operational amplifier is attached to the letter A. The other kind of amplifier is the capital A. And you can also put wires with W or resistors with R, diodes with D, whatever. You can change the different shortcuts by going to options, and there's the shortcuts here. The changes you make will persist between browser sessions, so that's cool. And once you are happy with the schematic you've done, you can export it by going to File, and you can export it as text. This code there can be saved to your computer, and then in a text file or whatever, and you can then paste it with import from text, and so it will save. It's a way you can save like that. So I just imported an empty code, so it's an empty circuit, blank circuit. One cool thing is that you can export as an image, so you can do let me put an example here. For example, this is a list of example circuits. I'll talk about them a little bit more later. For example, having circuit, you can export as in an image, so it will generate a PNG you can download. So about example circuits, you press here to view a list of them, and there's a better way to try out example circuits, which is by going into this page and clicking here. And in this page there's all the example circuits too, but let's try one. For example, let's try the triangle wave generator. It will load that circuit in the applet, but will also allow you to read a description, and that's cool if you want to learn about example circuit. So another kind of things you can add to a circuit is text in output and labels, then text, and so you can type whatever you want with different font sizes. This is an adding circuit, and you can also draw boxes also in outputs and labels. So a box is just a simple rectangular shape. It doesn't have any special properties, so it's kind of useless, but maybe you can use it to make simple tables or to point out parts of a circuit with a label attached. It's more useful when you are doing a schematic to show other people. So if you are doing a schematic, there's a lot of going on which isn't very useful. All the coloring and the yellow dots to show the current. So you can go to options and you can hide the current if there's any, and you can also hide voltage, and it will make this white on black schematic. To make it with a white background, you can go to here, white background, and the schematic will be dark. You could also have your resistors. Let's try another example circuit. For example, a filter. So you can have your resistors to be European type, European symbols. And let's go back to some logical circuit. For example, this one. Oops, that also works. You can also can also make your gates to be with this kind of symbol, like I think it's a German kind of symbol. And there it is. I think that's most of what you need to know about Falstad Circuit Simulator. There's more to tell about it, but you can easily find out by yourself by exploring things. So have fun, I guess.